of the internet, but our camps are actually friendly places versus the FEMA camps that are coming for the masses. Give us a description of what this is going to look like as the food supply creators are everyday Americans. I mean, remember with the thousands of cars lining up for the food banks back in March and April? Are we going to have like massive refugees of millions of Americans streaming into the FEMA camps voluntarily to say, feed me and I'll agree to whatever? Is that what it's going to look like? I mean, you tell me. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth here.
So basically, there were several objectives after Hurricane Katrina. And one of those was a bill that was spawned after Hurricane Katrina to establish public reception centers at your local Walmart or whatever large facility. It could be Costco, whatever. And it was set up in case of a nuclear event, but it could be any disaster. It could be a pathogen. It could be an earthquake. It could be a hurricane. And people would go, they're conditioned to go. Look at, they've already got people conditioned to stand outside of, like our Costco had SWAT team people. They put pallets to block the door, so you had to go single file in. You're required to wear a mask, and people were like lined up around Costco, so you're already conditioned to do that. Like it will be a brainstem reaction that when this happens, the next wave hits, that people will be starving. The food supply is going down. Last August, I warned my followers that it was the first year of famine, and everybody kind of looked at me like, oh, you've got to screw loose. We can go to the store. We can get anything we want. And I said, well, the UN just put out a report that they wanted to sell food by the 1/1000th of a calorie. And DARPA, which is the Black Op military sector, wants to sell food by the molecule. So after this next lockdown that we are expecting, I would say within probably 8 weeks, your food supply is going to evaporate, and they want to change your behavior. And they're right now, you've got a little bit of freedom. Get what food supplies you can, get what seeds you can, because what you have when you go into that lockdown is what you're going to be having unless you completely kowtow to the global agenda.
You know, you are absolutely correct about that. I've been growing potatoes, by the way, and talking to my mom on the phone. She's given me all the best tips and wisdom about growing potatoes because she grew potatoes. Her mom taught her and so on. And it's passed down generation to generation how to be self-reliant. I've hatched like 40 chickens this year. They're going to be laying eggs pretty soon. So I know I'll have at least eggs and potatoes. Like that at least I'm not going to starve, right? But the average American is setting themselves up for starvation. They've only got a few days' supply of food. And you even said during the Dave Hodges interview, no, I'm sorry, it was Dave that said this, that he knows people, that FEMA came to their house and demanded to look in their cupboards and take a survey of all their food supplies. And I know farmers in central Texas who during the big hurricane, I think it was Katrina, when there was a mass exodus across Houston and westward across central Texas, FEMA was going door to door at the farms, because I know people that this happened to, and FEMA was saying, give us an inventory of all your animals, all your feedstocks, all your seeds, grain storage, everything. FEMA was actually doing this. So I just want the audience to know that what you're saying here, Celeste, this is not fiction. This is confirmed through multiple sources. It's all true.
So what most people don't realize is that this actually started on October 31st, 2005. And there's something called the Terrestrial Animal Health Code. There's 3 volumes, 1,500 pages per volume. And basically it is how to manage the planet. And so volume 1 is the Terrestrial Animal Health Code. Then there's an aquatic code for those of you that are into fishing and aquaponics and that type of thing. And there's also a diagnostics and vaccination. But during that, so what the UN did is put out a mandate and said, everybody in the world needs to have traceability. At the time, it was called, in 2005, it was called the National Animal Identification System. Had 3 parts to it. One, that all private property would become federalized. The second was that all life on your property had to be electronically identified. And the third was 24/7 surveillance. And you say, well, how did, that doesn't affect me. I live in an apartment or whatever. Well, the definition to become federalized and become an asset of the government is to have potential to earn $1,000. And even a disabled person, even a person living in an apartment, has potential to earn $1,000. So basically, you are an asset of the federal government. And that is how they want to trace all the food supply. And they did this after Fukushima, too. They went to all the doctor's offices, and anybody that had supplements with iodine, they said, how many supplements do you have with iodine in it? Because they wanted to, this is what they do. So they gather their assets, and then they put them in the database, and then they tap those resources when they need them.
Wow, you're